Hi, and welcome to this training to learn about the 3 essential steps to transform your rocky or stagnant relationship into a healthy one. I'm so glad to have you here. I know how it feels like to go through ups and downs in a relationship. I've now been with my partner for 12 plus years, and we've definitely had our fair share of challenges. Many people think that, I must have come from a stable family or had a stable background to have a stable relationship. Well, I can tell you that's not true. There are definitely periods where we went through rough patches, we have gone through long distance together, we have been attracted to other people as well, and so much more. Now we're at a place where we have this healthy, solid, and peaceful relationship. That doesn't mean that there are zero disagreements, zero challenges. I'd actually be lying if I said that. It means that we're able to overcome challenging moments quicker and in a way that brings us closer. So without them being a threat to the well-being of our relationship, and I want to help you achieve the same. So if you don't know me, I'm Alex and I'm a life and relationship coach. Maybe you're here today because you want to increase intimacy in your relationship. Or maybe you're looking to improve your communication to be able to align on certain topics and feel like you're on the same page more often. Or you're looking to overcome some major differences and see what you want to do next. Maybe you're having doubts about your relationship, even if you love your partner. That can also arise, and I have been there too. So you might be here for different reasons, and that's totally fine. You might even be at different stages in your relationship. You might be dating your partner, you might be thinking about committing for life. Some of you are married. There are many aspects to a relationship, and I want to let you know that you are welcome to this training and that you're not alone. You're not alone with your struggles, doubts, confusion. I receive many messages every single day on my different platforms, especially Instagram these days. And whenever someone from the community shares a struggle with me, I can guarantee that someone else from the community is struggling with the same. So although every relationship is unique, I also want to let you know that you are not alone. And most importantly, that there are ways to make things better for you. Toolbox for Love came to life in 2020 during the pandemic when I decided to leave my corporate job at Tesla because I was seeing so many people around me, and myself included in the past, struggle when challenges would arise in the relationship. What I hear most often is, I love my partner, we want things to work out, but there are just certain areas that aren't doing great, and I don't really know how to fix things or where to start. Well, I'm here to show you how, and today we're going to see the 3 steps to create a healthier relationship with your partner. I wish I had this information and the knowledge I'm going to share with you beforehand when I was going through some rough patches with my partner. Now, I remember struggling in my relationship because I had this perception of what a relationship should look like, what it should feel like. And I sometimes ended up comparing myself to other couples. And when we're kids, we watch movies, we watch fairy tales, we see a princess getting swept off her feet by Prince Charming. We see the happy ever after, but we don't see what happens after that, right? So we get this pretty picture, and then today we consume, movies, series, media, social media, of course, and we create this perception of what a relationship should look like. There's nothing wrong with that. I've done that too, and every single one of my clients goes through the exact same experience. But if your relationship is not where you want it to be, start noticing what you have been thinking about what a relationship should look like. Maybe you've heard a lot of noise around you, different messages about relationships. And I know personally, I've received a ton of different messages, contradicting messages around my relationship, and it has definitely brought up a lot of confusion, doubts, and loneliness. So I wanted to share some of those with you right now, and it will lead us up to our first step in this training. So some of the external messages I received include, if you have doubts, you're not with the right person. I was also told only people who come from stable backgrounds develop stable relationships. And marriage is a trap. My partner and I just got married this year, and when we announced our wedding, this advice still came up. I was told, you're too different. I was also told, and I know my clients also resonate with this, romance doesn't last forever, or your long distance relationship won't work. We've gone through 4+ years of long distance in different countries and even different continents at some point. And I was told this over and over again, sometimes even daily. Another message was, relationships get worse with time. Maybe you've heard that too. Check in with yourself and see which ones resonate with you, which ones you'd add to this list. And then so many you shoulds, like you should get married, you should have a baby now, you should do this and that. And these can be explicit messages, like people saying this out loud to you, wanting to give you their advice. And it might come from a very good intention. but it can also be implicit. For example, when you're scrolling through social media and you start to unconsciously create these messages in your mind. You start to picture a relationship and compare yourself to someone else. You start thinking that maybe someone else has it better than you, that the grass is greener for them. So what you're going through isn't normal. So my question to you here is, what's your version of how a relationship should be? What have you been told, again, implicitly or explicitly? What have you seen done around you? What have you been thinking a relationship should look like? Do you really feel at this point of time, for example, that romance doesn't last forever, or that your long distance relationship will be too difficult to sustain? Or someone's maybe telling you that you should do something in your relationship that you're just not feeling aligned with? So whatever that looks like, it starts to create your version, starts to create your perception, and start to influence how you show up in your relationship. So what is that version for you? So the first step in creating a healthy relationship is to ask yourself, how do I want my relationship to be like? And if you feel comfortable doing this, go ahead and close your eyes for just a second while I take you through this short process. Think about what that relationship looks like. If you could just choose how your relationship would be, regardless of the noise, regardless of your background, regardless of social media, how does that look like? And how do you feel? What are you doing with your partner? Are you maybe laughing together, feeling like a team? Maybe you're picturing having an argument, but knowing how to make up after that. Or you're feeling a sense of stability. That's what you want the most. So what does that look like for you? And step into that moment, into that feeling, into those thoughts. Maybe you're more of a visual person, so you can clearly see what that looks like right now. Maybe you feel it more in your body, so you start to feel certain sensations. That's totally fine. So how is that experience for you? Now take a deep breath and slowly come back. How did that feel? And feel free to pause here if you need to, if you want to continue having that experience for just a bit longer, or maybe you need more time to get into it, that's fine. Now, the first step is defining how you want your relationship to be like so that you can then take the actions towards creating that. If you've experienced people around you going through situations in their relationship, but you've decided right now that that's not what you want, then that's how you will start taking actions towards actually creating the relationship you want. It is such a powerful step. You want to show your mind what you actually want so that you can start creating that. So that's the first step. Get really clear. I know this has been crucial for myself and for my clients as well, so I want to share this with you so that you can then apply the rest. Now, you might have heard that relationships go through different stages, especially the honeymoon phase, as you can see here. It's typically a stage where a lot of good things happen, you feel good, you feel in love. Differences that you notice don't really turn into conflict because certain hormones are high, like dopamine and others. So you're going to experience the world really differently because you're in love. What happens is that you then transition to what's called the power struggle phase. Every couple will go through moments like these where you feel like you don't understand each other, like you're incompatible. You might even start to feel like your needs aren't met, or you have different ways of arguing about topics, so you feel misaligned. You get into conflict and you're not sure how to get out of it. Maybe you build up resentment or frustration here. So the power struggle is when you start to see those differences with your partner, and they typically end up in fights and arguments. Then there's a stage called the conscious relationship. And here's the thing, staying stuck in the power struggle phase usually leads to dissatisfaction in the relationship, and in some cases, even a breakup. I've been there as well, and if you're there right now, there are ways to bridge the gap towards a conscious relationship stage. This stage is where you build trust, you increase emotions of safety, where you start to feel like the relationship is stable regardless of the challenges you go through, and you're taking actions towards creating that stability. That can be in the way you approach situations. A question I get a lot is, how do I open up conversation so that my partner wants to listen without upsetting him or her? This is a great question that with the right tools and skills enables you to take conscious actions. But we don't get taught the basic skills. There's no manual that you are given early on. So when you feel lost, that might be a sign that you're in the power struggle phase and you're simply missing a few tools to go into the conscious relationship. Bridging the gap between the power struggle phase and stepping into the conscious relationship is where so much of the magic in a healthy relationship happens. And you'll know when you're there when you can easily bounce back and feel closer to your partner after a disagreement or a challenge. It simply doesn't hurt the relationship. It actually makes you stronger as a couple. Now, when the power struggle phase seems too rocky and you feel like you and your partner are growing apart to the point that it's just not sustainable for you anymore, you might think of breaking up or accepting how things are, but not feeling fulfilled, so the relationship becomes stagnant. I want to assure you that the conscious relationship is something you can step into, and it's the most amazing experience to be able to go through a power struggle moment, but that not affecting the health of your relationship. I have arguments with my partner and we have moments of tension as well, but it lasts a few minutes and it doesn't hurt the relationship at all because we're making conscious choices towards stepping into that conscious relationship stage again. Bridging the gap is the key. Staying stuck in the power struggle phase is something I've experienced too. I know how that feels. I've been there, and every client who starts their coaching journey with me is in that power struggle phase. I know how difficult it is to feel stuck there. Even if you love your partner and you want things to work out, it still sometimes feels confusing and overwhelming. Now, you have the power to bridge the gap between the power struggle phase towards the conscious relationship, the one where you feel like a team with your partner despite the challenges. Now, the next stage is growth and commitment. Why? In the conscious relationship, you're building safety and trust, so a different hormone is kicking in here called oxytocin. The feeling of connection with your partner, feeling a strong bond. And it's such a great feeling to have that stability there. But as humans, we want a bit of change. We'll get bored if it just stays the same. And that's when this stage comes in, where you implement routines, rituals, habits that keep the spark alive and bring back some excitement from the beginning. That's how you continuously grow your relationship, introduce new aspects to it so that it doesn't become stagnant. This would typically be the gap to bridge if you feel like things aren't exciting anymore, although you feel safe and at peace with your partner. That's how we as humans thrive. We love to have that sense of safety and security, but at the same time have a sense of newness, excitement, and adventure. And so these are the different stages that a relationship typically goes through. And once you understand this, you can first of all understand where you're at. If your relationship is rocky or stagnant, does that mean that you're stuck in a power struggle phase? Are you learning how to create a conscious relationship, but you're not feeling like you're mastering it yet? Or are you struggling to get into the conscious relationship stage in the first place? Are you looking to step into the growth and commitment phase right now? You might even be getting out of the romantic phase and start to see the differences with your partner, starting to get annoyed by them and not sure if you should continue the relationship overall. So you see how these stages help you define where you're at and what your next step is. So the second step to create a healthier relationship with your partner is to know that you have the power to create ripple effects. And what do I mean by that? If I go back here, when you go from a power struggle phase to a conscious relationship, for example, there are certain actions that drive change, that bridge the gap. See, you have the power to create those ripple effects to shift dynamics. And I remember a client of mine who was typically stuck in the power struggle phase. And after one session, an hour call that we had, and it was his very first call, he came as an individual, he wanted to understand how to work on arguments with his partner. After one session, after applying 1 to 2 specific tools, when his girlfriend got mad at him next time, he went from turning hour-long fights into a 30-minute conversation that resulted in a constructive outcome for both him and his girlfriend. That's the power of that ripple effect. You as an individual have so much power to change things and drive change, even if it sometimes doesn't feel like it. So try it out. Next time you're bothered by something in your relationship, start to respond differently and see the ripple effect in action and how your partner reacts as a result to that. Or do something different today to show love to your partner and see the ripple effect there. You'll see the response will be different. And that's where you again have the power to change dynamics. And if you feel like your partner should be learning new tools and skills to improve areas of your relationship too, like watch this training or seek support, but they're just not open to it right now, you're not alone. We tend to think that a relationship should naturally work well, and some people will feel like a failure if they have to seek external guidance or put certain steps into action. To give you my personal experience, I learned how to create a conscious relationship first, took the necessary steps, walk the talk, and then introduce new concepts to my partner. It was a much smoother and sustainable process than forcing him to do the work with me. If your partner is on board right away, that's great. If not, you have options. If you take action towards creating a healthier relationship, there will be a ripple effect. You have the power to do that as an individual first, to drive the change you want to see. It opens up so many doors and opportunities. Great, now I want to ask you this question. Would you rather me handing you 1 cent of a dollar today that doubles every day for 31 days? Or would you rather me giving you $1 million right now? Which one comes to mind first? Which one is the obvious choice for you? Really quick. Now, from my experience, 99% of you will say 1 million, and that's logical. I totally understand that. If you look at the 1 cent that doubles every day for 31 days, after day 3, you're at 4 cents. It doesn't really feel good compared to the 1 million, right? So again, I totally understand your choice. Day 15, you're at $163. Now look at what happens on day 31. You're at 10 million or almost 11 million. Compare that now to the $1 million. And why do I mention this? Why is this important? Well, because that 1 cent is what grows your relationship every single day. That one little action, one little change, one slight shift you decide to make today is your 1 cent. If you apply this 1 cent mindset consistently, the effect it'll have on the health of your relationship is far greater than if you choose one big action here and there. That's the difference between a couple who says, my relationship grows stronger over time versus one that says, we're growing apart. Now, the $1 million actions can look like a big trip that you have together every year, the anniversary you celebrate, quality time you spend with each other once a week. All those are great. That's really amazing. That's your 1 million. But I can assure you that if the 1 cent isn't there, your partner, yourself, and your relationship will sense it. You'll keep feeling like something's missing. So to create a healthy relationship, you want to think of this 1 cent, not just the 1 million. What is that 1 cent for you to make things a bit better? What action can you take? What is the one thing you can start implementing to nurture your relationship? This is such an important concept. You know, sometimes people assume that my relationship must be perfect by now. And if you've thought that too, I don't blame you at all. And yeah, after 12 years, we are definitely in a place that feels really good. And that's why I'm sharing my knowledge with you, because you deserve to know how to create the same. But the 1 cent is there every single day. Little efforts are so important. And actually, our most recent experience, to give you some behind the scenes, is when my husband and I went through quarantine together this year. We moved to Singapore, had a 14-day quarantine period, and realized that we actually felt closer during our long distance relationship than during our quarantine time. Can you imagine that? We weren't consciously putting in the efforts to implement our 1 cent a day, so we weren't feeling connected. We were physically together, but emotionally not there. That's the power of 1 cent, even if you're together every single day. And I like to compare a relationship to a plant. If you want to see it grow, you need to water and nurture it on a regular basis. Yeah, it can get messy at times and it requires effort to maintain, but that's when you see the most benefits, when you take care of it on a consistent basis. So the third step is small, regular actions grow your relationship. I invite you to not take them for granted. I've seen the ripple effects and benefits of this in my own relationship and with my clients every single week because they're taking small, meaningful, consistent actions. That's when they see the most results. So what can you do today to work your way towards creating more of the relationship you want? So let me recap the steps. The first one, how do I want my relationship to be like? Ask yourself that. Define that for you so that you can then take action towards that every single day. Second, you have the power to create ripple effects. A ripple effect is so important. The way you react, how you respond, what you do in your relationship has an impact on how things go. And third, the small regular actions grow your relationship. Now some final thoughts. You're not alone and you are supported. A rocky or stagnant relationship doesn't have to stay that way. You don't have to accept things the way they are. You can, but if you want more stability, more peace, be happier with your partner, there are ways to do that. It doesn't have to stay how it is right now. You have the power to drive change in your relationship. If you feel like your partner isn't on board doing even this free training, for example, that's okay. Start with yourself. There's already so much you can do. I did exactly that, creating ripple effects, implementing the tools and the skills first, and that drove the change I wanted to see. And give yourself permission to take the steps towards creating the relationship you want as of today. Give yourself that permission. You deserve to be happier, and you deserve to know how that's done. I'll be sending you some resources in your inbox over the next few days to help you feel more supported in your relationship. But I wanted to first thank you for being here. That's such an important step already, and I'm looking forward to connecting with you.